Welcome to the Bare Essentials Podcast, where the talk is real and hibernating on your goals is not an option.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Charles Wallace. Unfortunately, we live in a world that is flooded with promises of instant gratification, shortcuts, quick fixes, and easy buttons. This next guest helps people to stop constantly starting over so they can improve their quality of life and experience long-term fitness success. This man has been a leader in the fitness industry since 2003 and is the owner of Priority Fitness in Overland Park, Kansas. He is also the best-selling, award-winning author of the book series, Make Fitness a Priority, and is regularly called upon as a fitness and wellness guest expert for local and national media. He has hosted his own talk radio show and has been featured on over 40 podcasts. So without further ado, let's get to motivating some people today. Please welcome Chad Austin to the show. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much, Chad. Could you give the audience a bit of a high-level intro of yourself?
Sure. So I'm a personal trainer in just outside of Kansas City. As you said, I've been a personal trainer up here for about 15 years. I'm the owner of Priority Fitness. It's a private personal training studio, and Priority Fitness was named after my best-selling book series, Make Fitness a Priority. So what started as one book, kind of as I was evolving as a trainer, turned into a book series and a whole fitness community here. But everything about Priority Fitness is about helping people get long-term success with their fitness so they can, like you said in the intro, kind of stop starting over and just instead of being tempted by instant gratification, more figure out how fitness fits in their life.
Thanks for that, Chad. And that was one of the biggest things that caught my eye about you and what you're doing, because myself, unfortunately, I've experienced, I think, that yo-yo effect throughout my life as far as starting, stopping, losing weight, gaining weight. So first thing I want to ask you, and you go in a little more detail, what does your message that you're trying to get out there mean? Make fitness a priority.
Well, basically what it means is I think, whenever you're in a profession of wanting to help people, which I am as in the fitness world, you want to teach people how to fish, basically, right? And so like the saying is, if you give someone a fish, you feed them for a day. If you teach someone to fish, you feed them forever. And in the fitness world, I think trainers, we feel like we're doing that by teaching people how to exercise and eat better. But we're missing one glaring problem that we have, is that we don't teach people how to deal with life's obstacles. So when life's obstacles happens and we have to adapt to change in our lives, whether it be a good change or a bad change, we're very good at adapting to that change when it comes to our family, our career, our faith, any of those passions. Well, when it comes to fitness, we're terrible at adapting to it when it comes to our fitness, and fitness always becomes the thing we're going to get to later because our life's busier now. And so all of a sudden we don't have time. And so helping people kind of change their mindset from putting fitness off to understanding how it fits now that my life is different. And so they can stay long-term, so that we stop starting over all the time, because we just fall out of our routine for so long that we just enough's enough, and then instant gratification just becomes that much more appealing to us. So kind of teaching people to deal with life's changes so that they never have to start over again. They just are able to adjust just like they do with the other priorities in their life.
So Chad, the next thing I want to ask you, and I want to give you a chance to maybe talk to a bunch of people out here, because I'm pretty sure your answer is going to have at least a few people going, yeah, that's me. So in your experience, what are some of the struggles that you hear about and see with people as to why, for something so important, their fitness, their health, why can't they make it a priority?
Well, like you said, for those of you who are listening, if you really have some takeaways, if you really get engaged with this conversation we're having, I love doing these, but it's always just, it's a short amount of time. So you're going to get a chance to get my book for free at the end of this, but our freebie, I'll make sure I mention it a few times and we'll put it in the notes, but it's at beatyourexcuses.com. You can get my first book for free. So I'll make sure I mention that a few times. That's a good guide to kind of get started. But really the I'm sorry, what was it? You just, I lost what you said that what is it that why
Yeah,
people
what
keep
is
getting started?
yeah, well, some of the excuses as to why they struggle.
Yeah. Well, I think the main reason is that like I said earlier, kind of my mission was to help people start getting long-term success, because as I evolved as a trainer, like that's really my purpose. That's what I'm supposed to be doing as a fitness professional, help people get long-term success. And I think the big challenge we have is as our life changes and we take on more responsibilities, we get busier. We always think back to when was the most fit time of our life, or the last time we lost a lot of weight, or the last time we had great results. And whatever we did for our workout routine at that time, it's like that is what we have as the bar, right? And so it's like anything doing less than that is like not doing enough, or like we're doing something wrong. And then that is so hard for us to get past. We have to teach people to throw that way of thinking out the window and know that this is very important to know this. But if you do, just because you do less does not make it less of a priority to you. All it means is fitness fits differently in your life right now. And so it's very important. What you do for fitness has to fit in your life, or else it won't be there very long. You can't fit a square peg in a round hole. So that is the main thing I think that everyone gets tripped up by. So like fitness is supposed to be the thing that's supposed to be the vehicle that makes everything else better. It's like when I'd really take care of myself, I'm a better husband, I'm a better son, I'm a better coworker, I'm a better creative thinker, I'm a better motivator, I'm better at my job. I'm just better at everything. But only when I figure out how fitness fits. And that's what fitness is supposed to do. But if I try to force something in my life, in my fitness plan that doesn't fit, then it can hurt all the other priorities in my life. And so not trying to force something that doesn't fit in your life, figuring out how fitness fits in your new life, that is the thing. But we keep getting hung up on that we're not doing enough when we don't have as much time to do what we used to.
That's a really interesting point, and I've done a few interviews about similar topics, Chad. And you know what? I think you're the first person that's put it that way, honestly. Um, I think the message I take away from that is it's an interesting point. I think people sometimes they feel like, well, if I can't, for example, if I can't do a 30 to 45-minute workout, then the hell with it, I'll do nothing instead. And it sounds like what you're saying is whatever that may be, whatever fits, that might be 10 minutes, it might be 15 minutes. Start with that. Let's get a routine going that you can keep to. It's sustainable, and then take it from there. I think that's really important for people to hear. I know myself, I was like that too. If I couldn't go out and do 45 minutes, oh, well, I'm not doing anything today. Backwards thinking, but it's a shame. And I guess that's getting to my next point. I think myself, my wife, people I know, we've had that where we've lost weight and then we put it back on several times. I'm 50 years old now. I honestly probably 10 times at least where I've had that, lose it, gain it back. And the scary part is each time I've gained it back, I feel like it's come back with a vengeance and it's been worse. Why do you think it's so temporary, the success? Why is that? And is there a way for people to really handle that better?
Yeah. And I empathize with you for that. And I know that myself. I've had the exact same thing. I have, when we have a deep desire to get results, for one thing, even the smartest person's judgment can be clouded. I mean, I have done every fad diet. I've fall for so many weight loss scams in the past when I've just gotten out of my routine long enough that my desire for results have just climbed so much that it makes us easy prey for weight loss scams and just things that aren't going to be anything more than short-term fits for us. And so that's but that is the reason why. I mean, when we get into this roller coaster pattern of getting results and falling off track, the main reason is that what we did, we knew when we started that it was only going to be temporary. And so because it didn't fit in our life long term, we couldn't like whatever we did, we had a goal in mind of what we wanted to get to, and we never took the time to think of what's next. I mean, what am I going to do after I reach this? And if you don't do that, then what's next is normally nothing. And so like when people are trying to figure out what the best fitness program, what should I do right now for my fitness program? They ask me that. There's a couple things they should always look out for. First, does it begin with the end in mind? And so what I mean by that is there's a lot of programs out there, especially at the beginning of the year, where there'll be like a 30-day program or a 12-week program, or and where basically, on day one when the last day is. And there's nothing really wrong with that, as long as at a certain point you ask yourself what's next. What's going to be next. If whether you're working out at the same level or you're taking or you're dialing it down a little bit, you need to know what you're doing next, or what you're doing next is probably going to be nothing, because your goal was your end goal was already set. And the other question you have to ask yourself is this the same for everybody? And so there's so many programs out there that are just are just made for everybody. Does the exact same thing. And fitness is not one size fits all. And so like what worked for someone else is not necessarily going to work for you. And what worked for you in the past may not work for you now. And so, but if every person that does the program is going to be doing the exact same thing, no matter what your fitness level is, or what your age is, what your lifestyle is, what the time, your busy schedule is, then you're doomed to fail, because it probably won't fit in your life. And so you'll be counting the days until that end of the program comes. And then you're eventually just going to fall off track because you won't be doing anything anymore.
That's another thing too. Chad, do you ever think sometimes, and I think I've been guilty of this, right? I'm a very goal-oriented person. Sometimes I started to think about it and I think, you know what? Is it the thrill of achieving the goal that actually pushes me? And it's almost like this own self-destructive way. I go backwards so that I can try to achieve the goal again. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Well, I've never heard anyone say it quite like that before, but I mean, I suppose there could be. I mean, we're definitely really good at sabotaging ourselves when it comes to things we want. So I mean, I could see for some people that could be a problem, but yeah, hopefully, I mean, just know that. If you are someone who maybe sabotage yourself like that, just know that if you are the problem, you are also the solution. And, your habits can be relearned and your thoughts can be relearned also. And so you can always change it to be better. So the first step would be acknowledging that that's an issue, a problem that you have, that you're getting in your own way. So that's part of what we do as trainers, and anyone that's in a job of helping people. We help people get out of their own way sometimes. And so that would be something I would, if that's something that you do, then I would, and just the questions I have people ask when they're figuring out what their program's going to be, what they're going to do, or how fitness fits in your life right now. Your answers to those questions, there's no wrong answer unless you're not being honest with yourself. Those questions may change. The way you answer those questions, it may change a few times throughout the course of the year. So just knowing that, always knowing what's next. What am I doing for my fitness program right now? And then when this is over, what's next?
Yeah, and Chad, I know we've kind of experienced this lately. My wife and I have both been on a journey. I'm about 3 years in now from when I will say I hit my rock bottom. She's probably about 6 to 8 months. And we've actually seen a lot when people approach us about, hey, what are you doing? It's frustrating a bit, and it kind of scares me a bit when, as soon as they hear it's not a fad diet or this magic solution, they lose interest right away. So do you have any advice or tricks maybe for not only a person who is looking for that magic solution, or even somebody like myself and my wife, right? Is there anything that maybe we could even say to people to help more people as to make them not think that way?
Yeah, they're craving the fast results. I mean, the immediate results, and I think that's what it is. When they lose interest is because it's like if you're taking away that promise that you're going to get results really, really fast, it's like they're gonna forget about that and go look for that somewhere else. And so it almost seems like that's an easier path or a shortcut. And so one thing I think when you have a platform like we do, we have to keep reminding people that instant gratification is just an illusion and that it's not real. And so in my world in fitness, what I call I refer to instant gratification as turkey bacon. Because to me, that's something I hate as a meat lover. But I think that's, and whenever I see a weight loss ad or a celebrity endorsed miraculous weight loss product or a fad diet or something, it's something I know it's only going to be temporary. I think of it as turkey bacon now, because I just think it's an illusion. It's fake. And at the end, it looks like the real thing, but you're going to find out right away it's not the real thing. And you're going to be disappointed. And whatever enjoyment or results you get are just going to be short-lived. And at the end, you're just going to feel like you didn't get what you paid for. It's just fake. And you need to think of that every time you find a fad diet or something promising you an easier path or a shortcut. You have to know it's just going to be temporary success, because it's not real success.
I like that. Great. Instant gratification is like turkey bacon. That's a great point. And I also think sometimes people fall for, when it comes to instant gratification, as far as fitness and weight loss goes, I don't think people realize that pretty much any type of program you start, diet you start, whatever it is, right, in the beginning, where you're at your worst, you're going to lose no matter what, just by changing things, right? So they almost fall for that. They think, oh my God, it's a miracle, this fad diet, this fad workout program. And it's like, honestly, you probably would have got similar results if you would have done just a couple basic things without spending and wasting your money on the program. So I think that will help people, because I'm seeing a lot of it in what I've been doing lately, and my wife has too. The other thing I always hear about is time. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. And I feel like they're hollow excuses sometimes. What I wanted to ask you is to maybe help somebody who legitimately, maybe they are, they have time constraints. Maybe now with this economy, unfortunately, maybe there is some money issues, right? Could you maybe give some advice? Is something like, hey, no time, little bit of time, not really much money, not much space, whatever. Could you give just a little advice on how to maybe start something like that, just to get somebody going, maybe give them that initial push?
Yeah. Well, I would say the first thing I would say for people is that I've definitely, what I've learned as a trainer is that most of the time when someone says I don't have time, when they're referring to fitness or their workouts, what they really mean is I don't have time to work out like I used to. And so it's the same thing I was talking about before. We have this bar, and it's like doing less than what we did before. We think there's something wrong with it. So if I can't do that much, I might as well not even do anything. And that's a bad way to think. You need to change that way of thinking in your head, and just know that, just because you do less does not make it less of a priority. It just means that fitness fits differently in your life right now. It's a very important thing that you have to rewire in your brain to know that. And know that, there's lots of workouts these days. We've definitely, in the last couple of years since the pandemic and COVID and everything happened, every profession is virtual these days. And so, and there's online resources for everything. I mean, you don't need any equipment at all. If you don't have any equipment at home, you can do a workout with just body weight exercises, and they're easily accessible online, and to find these things. And so there's really nothing stopping you other than your own barriers you're making in your head. And so if you don't mind, I have a great exercise that we could put people through right now that will help. If you're really stuck with that, I don't have time excuse. There's something I do. It's called the Fit List test, to kind of help people gain some perspective on this problem that they're having. And so what I do, every time since we started this interview, every time, if you're listening, if you've heard me say the words make fitness a priority, when you've heard me say that, there's probably been a few people in your life that's come to mind. And so I call those people your make fitness a priority heroes. So I want you to think of, in your head, just think of a couple people, 3 people in your head. When you've heard me say make fitness a priority, who's come to mind? Who's come to mind is people that always get their workout in no matter what. They're always stick to their meal plan no matter what. They always stay active no matter what. They always do these things. They don't let anything stop them. Okay. Think of those people. Now, the next step, those people you mentioned, I want you to think of all the obstacles that they have to overcome to make fitness a priority in their lives. So there's so many obstacles that we have, and that's really all an excuse is just an obstacle we haven't overcome yet, right? And so think of every obstacle they have. Do they have a busy job? Are they a single parent? Do they have to travel for work? Do they have multiple kids? And do their kids have activities going on every other night of the week? Do they have to travel for work? Do they have an injury or an illness? Do they have a sickness? Are they taking care of a parent or anything like that? And so there's so many obstacles I didn't even say, right? But what obstacles do they have to overcome? And they do, and make it look easy and still make fitness a priority. Okay. And now the third part is think of yourself. And I want you to think of your obstacles. What obstacles do you have that you have to overcome? I mean, so they could be some of the ones I said earlier. Maybe you have a busy schedule. Maybe you have kids at home. Maybe you're a single parent. Maybe you have a stressful job, or a job that requires a lot of travel, or I don't have a gym nearby, whatever obstacle it is. So think of what obstacles you have to overcome that's making it hard for you to get started. And now the last part of this, the most important part, I want you to think of your make fitness a priority heroes, the people that popped up in your head who make fitness a priority and make it look easy all the time. What obstacles do they have to overcome? And now compare them to the obstacles that you're letting you not get started. You're letting stop you from getting started. And then you look at those two obstacles. Normally this is an exercise that basically it makes home the point that everybody has obstacles. Everybody making fitness a priority is not easy for anyone, regardless of what anyone's Instagram highlight reel makes you believe. Everyone struggles with this. I struggle with this. All trainers do from time to time. There's going to be things that pop up and it's hard for you that are going to get in your way, and you have to find a way. But everyone can do it, no matter who you are. So probably those three people you mentioned, probably if you look at both obstacles, you realize some of them actually have more obstacles than I do, and they make it look easy. And those three people are probably the happiest people that you know, because they make fitness a priority, and it is the vehicle that makes everything else in their life better. So that is just a test that I'm going to help give perspective, but it's something I do with a lot of clients when they first get started, if their problem is consistency. And so just because sometimes you just have to find a way, like you do with your job, your family, your career, your faith, things like that. And so you just have to make it a priority in fitness as well.
I like that, Chad. That, as you were saying, in my mind I was doing the exercise, and it definitely works. So if you're listening, please try that, because I easily thought of my three, and I know two of the three definitely have more going on than I do. So yeah, very, very interesting. Chad, you mentioned consistency. I feel like that's something else we see a lot, is that people will start, then something happens, gets them off track. I feel like not enough people will push through that and start up again. They feel like they fell off the wagon, so to speak. They got off track. So now it's time to just stop altogether. Any advice on how to help somebody work through that, who started, has stopped? What do they do to get back going again?
Just know that there's no judgment, and there's nothing wrong with falling on track, because everybody does. And there's no, your expectation should not be to be perfect. Failing happens. Everyone fails from time to time. Everyone misses a workout from time to time. Everyone accidentally, didn't plan ahead, so they have to go to the drive-thru or eat something convenient. So they're not going to be as do what they planned before for their meals. Everyone fails. Failing does not end your fitness journey. So that's one thing that personal trainers, we hate New Year's resolutions. And but it's ironic, because we love helping people reach goals. We love helping people set goals. That's what we do for a living. We're one of the jobs where that's what we do for a living. We constantly help people set goals. But the New Year's resolutions just has such a negative reputation, because the society has made it to where you're doomed to fail. And they make it sound like once you fail, it's over. You might as well just wait till next year. Like all the stats that say 6 weeks into the year, 90% of people have failed already on their New Year's. Personal trainers hate that stat. And the thing is, who determined my failure? I want to know who came up with these stats and determined I failed. Because if you're in the 10% that haven't, your time's coming. You're going to too. Everyone's going to fail. It's inevitable. But failing does not define us. And it really should not break our spirit or stop our fitness journey one bit. I mean, what defines us is how we respond and how we get back on track. And so there's something my dad always told me and my sister when we were growing up. Every time we made a mistake or anything, he always said, it's what you do next that counts. And that's one dadism that stuck with me from my dad growing up. But it really is a perfect one for fitness, because there's going to be weeks where we had the best intentions, but we didn't get all our workout in, or we didn't stick to our calories that we wanted to be, or our meal plan. But, what obstacles stood in your way? How did they stop you? How can you do better next time? Is that mindset that every week trying to do better, just like you do in your job, just like you do in your family, that makes you better at making fitness a part of your life as well. So failing is part of it. Don't let it stop you.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up the New Year's resolutions. I actually did an episode about that, and I made a statement, and a lot of people have actually said to me that helped them. I said, a resolution is something you say, a goal is something you plan for. And I definitely see it, because I had so many resolutions, and I felt like as I stopped changing my mind, when I changed my mindset and made them goals, started to plan, it gave it more importance to me. So just something about goal having more importance to yourself, sometimes that helps. So for anybody who didn't hear that and you're listening along with obviously what Chad said, that's something else to think about. And Chad, I think one of the things too I wanted to ask you as a trainer, I was curious about, and I've went through this myself. I feel like sometimes the frustration and the failure, you said, well, what defines failure? Sometimes I think people define failure themselves because they're so fascinated with the scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I read something, I think it might only been last week, and it really struck me that, if you're losing weight the right way, it said it should be anywhere between 0.5 to 2 pounds per week. That's healthy. I feel like people, when they don't lose like 5 to 10 pounds in a week, they feel like, oh, I failed, I stopped. What have you experienced that with people you train?
Yeah, I've not only experienced it with people I train, but myself in the past. We are so hung up on what the scale says and the numbers. And so what I do with my business, so I'm writing a new book right now that's actually going to be the next part of the Make Fitness a Priority message, but it's going to be titled, What Have You Gained by Making Fitness a Priority? And I have a 4-step formula that I use to help people kind of adjust to life's changes and so they don't fall off track. But the acronym GAIN came to me just because of that's how I've adjusted to as a trainer of helping people gauge their results, so to speak, and gauge their success. So like when I do testimonials, I never do before and after, hardly ever do before and after pictures. Or I never have pictures of people's feet on the scale. I hate those two because we're so caught up with just the number on the scale that is really, especially when you're starting out, is the least measurable thing of success that tells us how much we've improved. But so what I do is I give a picture of one of my clients, and I just asked them the question, what have you gained by making fitness a priority? And being able to read their responses is incredible. But it reminds you of actually probably why you started. And so maybe you have a lot more energy now. You can move without pain. You are now an active grandpa when you weren't able to have any energy or range of motion to do anything before. Maybe you are not diabetic anymore. You don't have to take blood pressure medicine anymore. I mean, maybe you're strong enough to walk through a museum or go up to the top of a building with your family that you weren't able to do before. So many way more important things than just what the number on the scale says. That's misleading most of the time anyway. And so, but I would challenge anyone that you have a tough time and you're stuck on a scale. I was a wrestler. I was always someone who had to worry about his weight. I had to cut weight a lot as an athlete several times before. And as a, just like anybody else, I care so much about my appearance that bugs me how much I care about it sometimes. But so I've definitely been hung up on the number before. But I will tell you a very good habit to get into and help change that narrative in your head is to ask yourself, what have you gained by making fitness a priority? Or what will you gain if you decide to make fitness a priority? How could your life be different? That's an important question to ask.
Yeah, and Chad, that leads right into the next thing. What I was going to ask you was, I feel like fitness in general, to me, it has so much to do with our mindset. And you have any tips or tricks for people? Because sometimes I think people get in their own head and it's hard to get out of their head. any types of exercises or anything you do with your clients to maybe help people with that aspect of it?
Yeah, well, one thing whenever I meet a new client, my job's really to listen at first, and I want to hear about all their obstacles. I want to hear their fitness history, their exercise history, and injuries, all things like that, adversity they faced. But mainly, I want to know what their limiting beliefs are before they walk out the door, and I want them to know that they have the power to change their story. And so, and when I say that, I mean that by a couple of different things. I mean the story. Probably most importantly, I mean the story we're telling ourselves that we can't do it. And so like as a trainer, we learn right away that most people that come to us, they're coming to us for help with their fitness goals, but they're coming to us after they've tried and failed many times on their own first. And so many people probably, if they're being honest with themselves, don't really believe they can get results. They're thinking, well, I'll try this for a little while, but it probably won't work because nothing else has, or it may work for a little bit, but I'll fall off track because I always do. And if that's their way of thinking, they won't get results. We have to first change that story in their head because it's a fictional story. Just because you didn't get results in the past doesn't mean you can in the future. The past doesn't have to predict the future, but in order for that to be the case, you have to start by believing in yourself. And so one thing I do, especially as an athlete and as just as an entrepreneur or everyone, I've always had goals that I've been thriving for. And it starts by visualizing success. You have to be able to see that the hard work you're putting in and all the sacrifices you're making are going to pay off. And so you need to be able to take some time all the time to see that working out. And so whether it be, and I help as a personal trainer, it's important for me to be one of those voices that my clients hear, that it helps them visualize where this is how you're going to feel when you reach the finish line. This is how you're going to feel when your clothes fit better. This is how you're going to feel when you can move without pain. And you need to be able to start to say that to yourself. You need to be able to start to see the success happening. And so one more thing I'll add to that, is whenever you have a big goal, hopefully most of you who are listening who has a fitness goal, you're some of the lucky ones and you're surrounded by supportive people. It's like if you have a supportive spouse at home, or maybe they're on a journey with you, you have friends that are on the journey with you, but many people aren't that lucky. And they may have some people around them that they're not ready to make that same commitment. So their insecurities are going to just basically pop all your balloons. And so you have to find people. You need to be able to celebrate every win you get, but more importantly, you need to celebrate those wins with people who are going to celebrate with you. Every win, whether it be 1 pound, or maybe you stuck to your meal plan this week, you stayed active this week, whatever it is, celebrate every win with people who are going to celebrate with you, and to stack all those wins on top of each other. And every time you do that, every one of those wins gives you more confidence, and you'll be that much harder to defeat when the going gets tough.
I couldn't agree more. My wife and I have both had our most success on our health journey, I'll call it, when we've done it together.
Yeah.
There's been times in our lives where maybe it was her, maybe it was me, and they never sustainable. And I think that last part you just said is the big reason. You almost feel guilty when you win and somebody else didn't win, or they're not having the success that you did. And it almost makes you go back on yourself. So I would just add to what Chad said is, for those people, really understand, take it from a guy like me, you need to make the fitness a priority, make yourself a priority. It's not you're trying to hurt anybody else. And look at it another way. Maybe eventually you'll encourage that person to come along and join in.
Yeah, absolutely. I have seen that happen more than often than that. So I would encourage anyone that maybe heard this and realized, well, I'm the one that has the spouse at home or the family members at home that are on board. Don't use that as excuse to put fitness off till later. Don't do that, because that is an easy excuse to use. But I instead challenge yourself to be one of those people where they're gonna change their mind when they start to see me get success. They're gonna change their mind when they start to see what I'm gaining from making fitness a priority. And then you're gonna be the person that changes their life. You're gonna pay it forward by helping them get on board with you. And so don't use it as an excuse to put it off. Accept the challenge to change their tune about it.
So Chad, as we start to wrap up here, I'd like to do this. I want to give you a chance to speak to the audience from a perspective of thinking it's somebody who's coming to you for advice to potentially be trained by you. Do you have a couple things that you would lead with to basically tell that person, what can they do right now to get started?
Yeah. And so make fitness a priority. That is my website. Is actually getting a facelift right now. So hopefully when you hear this, it's available. But there's two things I have people answer for themselves whenever they're ready to get started. And so I'll share these with you. But I have lots of programs that you can jump on and join at my website. But here's how I have everyone that comes to work with me answer first. The first one is, how does fitness fit in my life right now? And the second one is, how much accountability do I need right now? So, and both of these are very important questions before you get started. But they're also questions that are going to change as your life goes. My answers to these questions both change probably at least twice a year. And there's no wrong answer. The only way you get this wrong is if you are not honest with yourself. So how does fitness fit in my life right now? And the way you answer this question, you look at your work schedule, you look at your family schedule and all the commitments you have with your family, and then any passion projects. And then you take a look at how busy you are and what's already committed to, and then say, where does fitness fit in my life right now? And so it's just being honest with yourself. Where does it fit? And then the second part, how much accountability do I need right now? That's another thing that just changes throughout the course of the year. I have a personal trainer. And so I've had my own personal trainer for 10 years, and I hope I have one for the rest of my life, because it's such a blessing to have for myself. But I'll say there are times throughout the course of the year where I don't have as much motivation, and I'll be honest, I need my trainer standing next to me for every workout, telling me what to do, or I won't do it. And because I just don't have the motivation. And there are other times throughout the course of the year where I'm really in a workout zone. I'm feeling strong. I have lots of energy, and I'm excited. I just can't wait for my next workout. And when I'm there, I don't need her as much as I do the other times, because I can hold myself accountable. And so it's just answering those two questions. How does fitness fit in my life right now? And then how much accountability do I need to be successful? Every time you ask those questions, that your answer may change, but being honest with yourself, that's how you figure out what's best for you to do and get started.
Yeah, thanks for that. And finally, what I want to really end with is, I want you to have a chance to plug your books. You talked a little bit about a couple of the books that you have out, the upcoming book, your website, things like that.
Yeah. So beatyourexcuses.com. You can go there and you can get a copy of my first book, Make Fitness a Priority, How to Win the Fight Against Your Excuses. That's a good guidebook to get started with. But all my books, I have 3 books right now. They can all be found on Amazon under Make Fitness a Priority. And my website, Make Fitness a Priority, that is where you can find me. Any other thing you wanted to work with, if you just wanted a strategy session, or if I have a lot of inspiring content I try to post regularly on there, but that's where I can be found. And I love helping people, and that's why I do all these shows. And so if you want some more than just the interview, then don't hesitate to reach out to me. It won't be long and you'll hear back from me.
Yeah, fantastic. You did not disappoint, my friend. I was so looking forward to this. We had to reschedule this. I'm so glad we did. We were able to get on the schedule here, because this is exactly what I was hoping for today. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for listening. Please check out Chad Austin. A lot of great information, and make fitness a priority. You'll not regret it. Thanks everyone. Bye.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.